So friends, myself Ramesh, and I'm presently living in Germany, and my life had turned into a joyful journey with the practice of meditation. I learned meditation through my father, and my journey had always been due to curiosity. I was always curious. So um, my father used to tell me that you just close your eyes and things will happen, wonderful things will happen. I was very skeptical, never taken his word. But later, when I saw various people practicing meditation started to have differences and changes, positive changes in their lives, I got curious. And then that is when I started to read about it and practice meditation. So my life had completely transformed as I kept regularly meditating. I moved from confusion to clarity, and I realized what is my life purpose. I realized that I create my own reality. So in this journey, I realized there are certain things that were really close to my heart. One was meditation, second thing was water, and the third thing was pyramids. So today I am very, very grateful that I'm sharing something that is so very close to me, that is water. So friends, today we will hear a bit about secrets of water. Before we move into water, let us understand what exactly is, some facts about water. Yeah. So we all do know that water is the only abundant resource on our planet Earth. Yeah. So we as humans are searching for water on various other planets because we do know that water means life. As we move into this topic, we will understand why it is so much important to connect and to respect water. It is not just because it is abundant resource. It is not just because water means life. There is much more into it. So we need to love, we need to connect, we need to respect this abundant resource that we are having on our planet Earth. So Earth, as we all know, is covered by 72% of water, and only 3% is fresh water, and in the 3% of fresh water, only 1% is drinkable. If we look, it's all about when we understand something, we kind of see it with a different perspective. When we look at this aspect, there is not that water is on Earth. In a different perspective, we can say that planet Earth is seen as an irregular ball that is immersed in water. It is, yeah, you can look it in a different way. It's not that Earth has water. So Earth is immersed in water. So if the sacred gift of Earth is life, then water is the custodian of that life. So that is why it is very important to understand what exactly is water, because we, as life on Earth, our custodian is water. Nearly all the living beings contain large amounts of water in their bodies, and this water facilitates every function that is happening within the physical being. And human beings, they are over 60% water. So a newly born baby is over 80% water. So if considering that how much our life is in love with life, falling in love with water is the place to begin. if you want to experience the same thing, you see the water is abundant. Water is the maximum. So if you want to experience abundance in your life, then you need to experience water rightly. We are all experiencing water, right? Because our physical body itself is so much of water. So we all cannot deny this fact of not experiencing it, but we need to experience it rightly. So that is the most important thing. Then we will experience that abundance, which is the property of water, even in our life. So our brain is 70% water, yeah, which is the most, let's say, interesting organ of our body, which is made of 70% water. And our bones, which we think are solid, they are 31% water. So if we go a further ahead in order to understand a little more about water, do you know how many water cells we have in our body? You see there the number 1. Beside that, add 26 zeros. It is 10 to the power of 26, which means 100 trillion cells. Yeah. So it's such an abundant thing that is existing within our body. What is very, very interesting point, and this is very important because we will later, in the later slides, we will go a little bit deeper into this topic. On this point, when we exhale, almost a quarter liter of water we lose, or let's say we give away to the air. Quarter liter. And we will later on connect to this point how this is being a channel of communication, how this is being a channel of telepathy, lot of other things that is connected to this fact. Because when we are exhaling, it is not just the air that is going out, a part of water from our body is going out into the universe, into the nature, into the universe. So a quarter liter of water daily we give away into the nature, into let's say the air, through our outgoing breath, through our exhalations. So it is through water that we are physically are connected in a way, because that is the abundant thing that is existing. Yeah. So when we speak about fasting, again, one of the points, yeah, fasting means being completely off the solid food and just being on the water food. So just being on the water diet, just take only water. So whenever we are on fasting, we are connecting to this abundant resource, which is water. So we keep consuming that. So many wonderful things happen for this reason. That is why fasting really heals, because we are taking that which is abundant within our being, which is the source and which is the reason for our life. So there is another interesting fact, which is there is more water in our atmosphere in terms of in the way of humidity than in all of our rivers combined. So if we consider all the rivers on the earth planet, whatever the water that is in these rivers combined, in air we have more water than that which is in the rivers. That is one of the interesting facts. So imagine what is happening. When we are exhaling, we are giving out water. And in the atmosphere, there is water. So we are in continuous interaction with the element of water. Our life is nothing but an interaction with water. So let's remember these 2 points, and in the coming slides, we connect to why this is very important. So, and another important thing is to produce one chicken, it needs 1,250 liters of water. Considering we consume 2.5 to 4 liters per day, it is a consumption for one person over a year of drinking water. So that is one of the reasons why if we need to save the mother nature, if we need to effectively, efficiently utilize water, a vegetarian diet is what that saves our planet Earth, because a huge amount of resources are being utilized in raising cattle. So if you really deserve, if you really feel in, let's say, taking care of Mother Earth, the plant-based diet is the only way. All the crises that we as the world is facing in terms of environment, if we need to overcome that, if we need to come in harmony with the nature, we need to know this particular fact. So being on plant-based diet will save our planet Earth, because a lot of resources are being wasted in order to raise something that is not really serving us in the right way. So for these reasons, man should avoid encroaching on water grounds. Though water has several benefits, considering these facts, it should be treated with respect and dignity, because it is a sacred natural resource that holds life. If anyone who is hearing here are part of some developmental policies of your community, of your government, please consider our development policies must portray water, which portray as water as a commodity to be traded and taxed to enrich some individuals, should be changed. It should not be done. Water should not be commercial. You see, now we have moved into a way of living where water had become a commodity. We are purchasing it. Water is a right of all. Nature provides it freely with the rains. So we, as policymakers, if any one of you are part of it, must bring this and change the way we are living, that water should be naturally available to everyone. So these are some facts, and these two facts, please do remember. When we exhale, we are giving out 250 ml of water, and then there is water even in the atmosphere. So these are some little facts about water. Maybe you have already known pretty much of them. So let us move next one into water practices. So we were earlier sharing that water, when we go to temples, we are given tirtham, like sacred water. So people of the past centuries, they knew more than what we knew today. They connected more to water than the way we connect and we see water today. That is why if we look into various past practices, how water is utilized, we will come to know. For example, in temples or churches, they are given as blessed water. So even in Bible, it is said that God's spirit first moved over the face of waters, and God said, let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures. It is the same in Islam. In Islam, water is the origin of all life on earth. The Quran says water is the substance from which God created the human being. At the creation, even God's throne, where God seated, was upon water. That is how water was said, or about how water was said about in all these religious scriptures. So we do know, and that in the past people knew more about water. So we do all know this, and even we were always said, when we take dips in river waters, particularly we do know that Ganga, one of the purest source, we have it in our scriptures, that when you take a dip in these rivers, you get purified. So even in practices like in Christianity, during baptism, one of the sacred practices into which they move into the path of Jesus. So water is the base even in that practice. And I do remember as a child, I was very curious when I was seeing all these old movies in India where sages used to use water either to bless or curse. Whenever I used to see that, I was thinking, what is this magic happening? How is this happening? So it is possible and it can happen. And it is very clear that the sages of the past knew about these secrets of water. And that is why they used to use it. And water is used as a symbol of purity and purification. So there is nothing, or rather we know a little about water now. People of the past knew a lot about these secrets of water, and that is what we see in all these practices. They used always water. So water has many wonders within it, friends. So let us now move towards science, because we need to understand also how we are moving, because in this present world, we need to bridge science and spirituality. So even our scientists started to experiment. Earlier, some of our friends had got Dr. Masaru Emoto, wonderful person who had brought to humanity in such a large scale about the memory of water. However, we need to see even other way the scientific evolution had happened. So we move to the science. I would like to share a couple of experiments, couple of studies that are happening. And one of that is called DNA Transduction Experiment. There is a video. However, we will skip that video. We move on. So I will share the links later. You guys can watch it. Very interesting video. So in this experiment was done in the year 2012 by Nobel Prize laureate Professor Montagnier, a French national. So he was given Nobel Prize because he was the discoverer of HIV virus. So when the world was struggling to understand what is HIV and how to tackle it, he was the one who discovered the HIV virus. And that is from where everything had started and evolved. So he was given Nobel Prize for his contribution in this field. So in the year 2012, Professor Montagnier started to research about water. So he realized that water is not just H2O. It is not something that that has nothing. He realized that there is something inside it. So he started doing a lot of research, and in the end, he came up with this DNA transduction experiment. So the science fraternity had really kind of got the first experience. Although Masaru Emoto had given a lot of information, this was the first, let's say, large scale shared experiment, because it was also done by a Nobel Prize laureate. So what he did was he took one DNA sample of HIV virus in a small test tube, and in the laboratory they make dilutions. So what means dilutions? They just take one DNA sample, and in this DNA sample they start to dilute. So they just take one portion of this sample and they add another 9 portions of water. They want to dilute as much as possible. So then again they take one portion of this dilution and then add another 9 portions of water in the third beaker. So they keep these dilutions, and in lab it is said when you make these dilutions for 20 times, one portion and then add 9 portions of water. When you make these 21 dilutions, that which is in the original sample gets diluted in proportions like putting one drop of water in the ocean. To that grade, the dilution happens. So what they do is in the lab, they do this dilution, and then this little quantity which has traces of DNA, because from the original they do the dilutions. They take this sample and they let's say, read the electromagnetic radiation of a closed sample in a beaker. So there is no any physical contact with it. And then they record this electromagnetic radiation in terms of a signal, a digital signal. Then they record it and they put it on the computer. So what they do is then they send this digital file to Italy, another university in Italy, and they receive this via email. It's a digital file. And this digital file, which contains this electromagnetic, let's say, signal, is played on a sample of plain water. So there is nothing connected between the sample in France, where Professor Montagnier had taken the DNA sample, to this sample in Italy. No any physical connection. Different water. The only thing is, from here they sent a digital file that read the electromagnetic radiation, which had no any physical contact with this water. So when they play this electromagnetic signal in Italy, and then they test this water in Italy, they found the same DNA that is in this DNA in France. So this experiment had really got very famous because it is really revolutionary. Without a physical contact, some information had been passed from a place to a different place in the form of digital file just by reading its electromagnetic signal. So they call indeed this experiment not as digital transduction. When this was completed, they used to call it DNA teleportation, as if something had moved from one space to other without having any contact between them. So this is a wonderful experiment. It's a 1.5 hour video. However, the 9 minutes within that has this content within it. I really ask you all to see that. I will share these links to you later. Yeah. So what means out of this experiment? Just think about it. When one water is just placed, there is a transmission of information without being in contact. What it means to us, what it means, this experiment to us. And we said that from this experiment, the data is being transferred even if the water is not in physical contact. The water is able to communicate and pass the information. And earlier we said, when we were speaking about the facts of water, that when we are talking or when we are just breathing, we are also giving away 250 ml of water per day. So in this water that is coming out, what content is going out through us? Is there a possibility that some information is going out from us, just like what had happened here in this DNA transduction experiment, that the water is in France, but it was able to transmit something to the water in Italy? What are we transmitting to water every time we talk? What is happening, for example, you are cooking, and what is happening when you are just there and thinking something? Is there some effect of your thinking on what you are doing? Looking at this experiment, maybe yes. We will see even further as we move on. And what is happening when you are listening to someone, they are talking? Is there some communication, not just happening through the words, but through the energy, or the information is passed through the medium of air? Is that possible? What is happening? So these are all the questions that one can contemplate upon when we go through this experiment of DNA transduction. There are a lot of experiments that are happening in terms of water memory. And they do believe in future science would grasp these aspects of water, which we little know now today, that we don't need to basically send some medicine from one country to another country by physical transportation. So they can just transmit some signals, and that signals reached on the other side, the medicine is already there, or some information is already there. There are some experiments that say that the whole memory of all the computers that we have today can be stored in one drop of water. So now we speak about the second experiment, which is done here in Germany, Stuttgart Aerospace Center. So what they did was, after all these information that had started to share across the scientists, they also started to research a bit more. So they simply call people to their research center. So they take water, same water, and then various people, they just dip their finger in the water and they leave some samples on, let's say, a glass. And here you see in the image here, each of these horizontal specimens are the water samples from one person. This is the second person. This is the third person. This is the fourth person. But the source of water is the same. It is the same water, but the moment someone put their finger and then leave them the samples, they find that something within water is changing. This is the crystalline structure of water. So when they look into water, the moment someone had dipped their finger, something is happening inside. So this is a wonderful experiment. I would like to share a little bit about a small video. It's a 3 minutes video. So let us watch that now.
The Aerospace Institute in Stuttgart has discovered a relatively simple way of making the structure of a drop of water visible. The researchers have had their efforts rewarded by insights into a very beautiful world. Each drop has a face of its own, unmistakable and unique. Why are the individual drops so different from one another? We got a lot of people to come to a lecture hall here at the Institute, gave them all the same water, had them make drops at exactly the same time, collected all the drops, and then discovered that each individual produced different images from the same water. And here you can see the results. Here on the right you can see that the images of the individual students are different, but those made by a given student are all quite similar. This is the work of the first experimenter, this one here from the second, this from the third, and this from the fourth. Individually, they can quite easily be reproduced, but you would never have thought that they were all from the same water, because when you compare the images from the different people, you see some big differences. Then we undertook experiments to find out whether things changed when we put something into the water. A real flower was placed in the water. A while later, we took a drop of water, and here you can see one of the pictures. And you can see it in this picture. It's the typical image you get when you put a flower into water. You could recognize the flower in every single drop in this glass, of course. That can be reproduced and has significance. And if you were to put a different flower in here, for example, a Sweet William flower, then all the drops of this water would look like Sweet William. The statement that water has a memory practically changes our whole way of looking at the world, of course. Let's travel down the Rhine in the figurative sense. The water is flowing down the Rhine, picking up information everywhere it goes. So the water has more information at the mouth of the Rhine than it had at the source. And the Dutch, living at the mouth, when they drink that water, they're also drinking all that information. Thus, the world's oceans would no longer be something that separates us, but instead a giant storehouse of information, and the rain would perhaps be a data medium carrying information to the world.
So isn't it interesting, friends, to see that the same water, when 4 different people leave the samples, they had different, let's say, crystalline structure. Like when they placed the flowers, each drop of water resembled the structure of that flower, each drop of water. So it is as if the water is capturing, water is memorizing. The moment someone is touching the water, it is able to take the memory and information from that person, and it is resembled on each and every drop. So what is happening when we go to rivers? What rivers contain? Tremendous information. What is happening when it is raining? Probably the universe is showering the information that is required to the humanity, to the Mother Earth through the rain. What is that? What are our oceans? Then there are the data banks of information, because water passing through various countries, through the rivers, they arrive into oceans. So it is a huge network of information, network of memory. Indeed, we all know that water can be in three forms, right? Solid, liquid, and gases. There is a fourth state which scientists now they're claiming, that the moment, if you properly notice in a, on the rivers, when there is rain, the droplets of water do not immediately go into the river. There are very minute seconds, you can still see the water, the round, like the droplet before it merges into water. So there are some fraction of moments where they don't merge and then they merge. So they say that between this, there is a data transfer, a memory transfer, and there is a fourth state of water. The chemical state, although it is H2O, it becomes H3OH, and this OH of one layer to the other layer, they come together and there is a data transfer, memory transfer, and then they are merging. So scientists are trying to understand why the same water, the moment something is dropped into it, the crystalline structure, once it is looked into, is changing. So it is no more a secret, or rather it's of no doubt that water has memory. So this is another wonderful experiment. And again, we now go back into this wonderful master Masaru Emoto, who had widely shared about the memory of water. So from these two experiments that we spoke and we just saw this video, it is very clear that water carries information. Water has memory. And this one had been widely experimented by Masaru Emoto. We can call him father of water memory, because he had brought this information through his research to this world. Since early 1990s, Emoto had been dealing with water. He believed that water could absorb and store the influences of thoughts and feelings. He came to this view through experiments with bottled water. So he used to do nothing. He used to write on a bottle some message, maybe thank you, or maybe some negative message like I hate you, or a war. Yeah. And then this water, he used to freeze it. Then he used to put it on the microscope and see the crystalline structure of these ice crystals that are formed. So the same water with different messages. And what he found was the crystalline structure used to change depend on what is written on that bottle. So he made a certain connection between the appearances of the ice crystals and the condition of the water. According to his research, water labeled with positive messages always forms perfect ice crystals, while water with negative messages takes on imperfect crystal forms. Yeah. So it means as if water says that I have life please treat me like you. Please remember this point, my dear friends. How you want to be treated, lovingly, caringly, with joy, with nice things in your life. You have to treat water with the same way. You want to have awareness. You have to be with the same awareness towards water. If you wanted to have your life, if you wanted certain way, certain things to enjoy, to have in your life, you have to equally do it with water. And you will find magic in your life. You will find miracles happening in your life. Because when we treat water, we are treating ourselves. So Masaru Emoto's story is this. So he used to take water, write some positive messages, yeah, like this. Here you see. He used to write positive messages on the bottle or negative message on the bottle. And then he used to freeze them, take that droplet of water and then analyze. He used to put water bottle on a photograph. Like here, he put on dolphins. Yeah. Then he used to place water and play music. So, and then he used to take that water with some music that is played, and he used to see on let's say under the microscope to see this crystalline structure. So here, for example, let's see what is happening when he plays water on the dolphins. It's just a photo. Huh? It is not even in contact with the dolphins. When he put this water, the bottle of water, on a photo which had dolphins, the crystalline structure of that water changed like this. Very beautiful, isn't it? Water indeed is the mirror that has the ability to show us what we cannot see. It is like it's like a blueprint for our reality, which can change with a single positive thought. Because water is so fast in memorizing. Water is so fast in transmitting information. In the recent researches, what they find is that when you stand at one end of the ocean, the very next moment, your information can be retrieved on the other side of the ocean. Such fast we can communicate. Like what I'm talking now, even though my voice is here in Germany, because I'm breathing and I'm also transmitting and leaving some of my water vapor to through my breath, my energy is mixing into this air, which quickly transmits to anywhere in this world. And you are also connected to that energy as you are connected to my words. So there is no space and there is no time when we connect to water. So wonderful things happen when we understand about water, because it is just a blueprint of our reality. How you treat yourself, how you is a direct resemblance on how you are treating your water. So there is a very famous music, Swan Lake music. Yeah, you can type it. That's one of the famous opera musics. So when that music is played, and then that water is crystallized and then looked into the microscope, this is the shape how it's shown. And then when they play the rock music, heavy metal music, this is how it comes up, which means there is no shape here. You see, it's very random, very dirty. There is no any crystalline structure. What Masaru Emoto research, they found out, the more beautiful messages or information the water is given, the very harmonious, between 5 to 6 faced crystalline structure resembles a very harmonious or a nice energy to the water. And here, there is no any structure for this water. So what is happening when we hear to a music? It's the same thing. So you have to be very conscious. You have to be very, very particular in your choice of music. When you are hearing to not only music, anything that you are hearing, when you hear a very, some news very violent information, some debates. What is happening with the water within your physical body? What is that crystalline structure when you're hearing it? When you see violent movies, when you see horror movies, I used to wonder when people say horror movies are my favorite. I used to wonder, how can that be? I mean, what is happening? So later on, when I saw these researches of Masaru Emoto, I realized that I never resonated to such movies. I only like things that are very harmonious, very classical music. I like watching entertaining movies which are hilarious comedy, and not that has violence, that has horror, because I always felt that that is not what my body wanted. And every time something I hear or we hear, we need to be very cautious how we are affecting our crystalline structure. And in these two images, you can realize that. So please educate your family members. Please educate your friends. What they are hearing can drastically affect their life, can drastically affect their health. Yeah. So let's move on. When peace is written on the bottle, just bottle, nothing is done. They are not about living peacefully. It's just a word written on the bottle. And you see how the crystalline structure of that water changes. And then just hope is written on the bottle, and you see what is happening to that water. It is the same water. The source of water is same. So, however, we need to be very, we need to know these, how things change as what is written and what is spoken around the water changes its crystalline structure. So, if you write on the bottles, happiness, and this is the crystalline structure, just writing happiness can change the crystalline structure of water. If you write love and gratitude, you see how the memory of water is changed. So words have power. Never and ever think that just speaking does not change anything. Every single word you say through your mouth is going to change the crystalline structure, is going to affect the environment around you. So be very conscious about the words you pick when you speak. Be very much aware to what you hear, because through that you're creating a blueprint for your reality. Do not ever and never speak negative. Do not ever and never say things that are not harmonious to the people who are hearing and to you who is talking, because of this particular thing that we are seeing now. If you write love and appreciation, this is how the crystalline structure of water is changing. You see, if you say thank you, that is why in all our meditation sessions, in everything that we do, we always include and we always speak about how important it is to be in space of gratitude. Such a nice, wonderful crystalline structure. If you write Mother Teresa, you see, even the word, just by picking the name of Mother Teresa, the water could change. So how does this water is able to know who is Mother Teresa? Can you imagine that every water droplet, every minute particle of water knows everything, can connect to that content of the past, of the future? There is no time, there is no space. When we speak about water, water indeed, that is why considered so sacred, so very sacred, and had been used in so many sacred practices across the world by our, let's say, past generations. So as we move on, this is a very interesting thing. Yeah, people who are working in offices with teams. Yeah, when they wrote on water, do it. This is how the crystalline structure looked like. And then let's do it. This is how the crystalline structure looked like. So friends, when you speak with your teammates, when you speak with your colleagues, always know how you are talking about. Every word that you are speaking can impact your environment around. Never and ever, be on a mood of commanding and just say, do it, you must do it, because you're creating an energy that is not so harmonious. You see how let's say unharmonious is this. And when you are in a team spirit and you say, let's do it, we are all part of one objective, you see how the energy immediately changes. You see how the crystalline structure is changing. So always be careful, always and always, on how you're communicating. And it is the same with thinking, how you're thinking. And your intentions must be pure. Your intentions must be right every time, because our intentions are rightly transmitted to everything around. Yeah. And then effect of negative words. So please be careful. Yeah. When the word "you make me sick" is written on the water bottle, this is how the crystalline structure looked like. When "dirty" is written, this is how the crystalline structure looked like. When you say "you fool," we may be saying in a not with that intention, but even if you're just using it for fun, but basically you are affecting and changing the memory of water there. So do not ever use a negative word. Be very cautious, be very much aware of what you're doing. Never say negative word. And even more, never think negative. Because the moment we are thinking something negative, we are changing the crystalline structure of the total water within our body. Can you imagine what is happening when you think that maybe I get sick, maybe I lose the job, I'm not capable of doing it, someone is so bad? Every time we think these negative things, it is first affecting us. That is why there is a statement that thinking bad about others is affecting you more than that other person. Because the moment you think, your water memory is changing. So you will be affected more. So never and ever think negative. And watch your self-talk. When you're talking about yourself, when you're talking to yourself, know that you're creating your reality. Know that you're changing and you're creating a blueprint of your future by what you're talking to yourself. So watch your self-talk. Be aware, become aware. That is why meditation becomes so very important, because meditation is nothing but our awareness. So these are all, if we are not aware, we are not in control of these things. We may end up just having some self-talk, which is so destructive. We may be having some negative thinking, or we may be saying some negative words. That is why we need to meditate in order to become more and more aware that not a single word can come out of us that affects us first in a very negative way, and then even the environment and energy around us, even the thinking. So that is why make sure you think and talk about things that you want rather than what you do not want. This is one of the important things. So most of the times we want to be, let's say, healthy. We all want to be healthy. However, instead of thinking about health, we always think healthy means not becoming sick. The moment you say not becoming sick, you're thinking about the sickness. So it is very important, because the moment you think about sickness and you think, I don't want to get sick, although the end, let's say, objective is to be healthy, but the way we framed our imagination or our words or our thoughts created that negative effect within the memory of the water. So always think what you want rather than what you don't want. So if you want to be rich, don't say, if I lose job, what may happen? So you have to be very much aware and think and talk about things that you really want rather than what you don't want. And also note this, my dear friends, everyone is programming one's own life and realities by the way we are thinking, by the way we are talking, and by the way we are expressing. So our life is just but a programming. The more and more we become aware, we become our own programmers. The less and less we are aware, that power of programming, we although program ourselves in an unaware way, and we are also easily affected by the words and the programming from outside. So just become more and more aware so that you program your own life, so that you program your own realities, so you manifest your own realities that you wanted. So the next one, it's written just wisdom. And when wisdom is written, this is how the crystalline structure had changed. When harmony is written on the water bottle. So imagine, just by writing on the bottle, if it has such an effect, what happens when you start living it, when you start talking about it, when you start thinking about it. So every image you are seeing now, you think you are just seeing it, you think you are just hearing it. But believe me, all the crystalline structure within your body now is changing. It just takes a fraction of a moment that the crystalline structure of your whole body is getting transformed. Do you remember that photo where the bottle was placed just on the photo of a dolphin and how the memory had changed? That is what is happening when you are seeing these photos, when you are seeing these crystalline structures. So when it is written I love you, and that is what is placed, this is the crystalline structure. Yeah. So every word, everything that you are seeing now is just impacting your being. When family love is written and placed, this is how the crystalline structure had changed. You see, there are 3 layers, and Masaru Emoto decodes. You can read his books. There is a lot of information in there. We are just going through in order to understand the outline of it. However, he also decodes and explains why a particular crystalline structure is there. We just take a few of them. So here, if we see family love, when we showed the phrase family love, the crystal grew into 3 layers. So Masaru Emoto interprets this as follows. The bottom layer represents the grandparents. The middle layer is the parents, and the top layer is the children. It gives the impression that the presence of grandparents is the most important in a family. Do you remember, friends, in the past, we always had combined families. So when we speak about family love, and the water could resemble in this way, there are various layers. How important is a family structure? So it's wonderful how it resembles. Then love for humanity. Yeah. So this crystal greatly resembles the one from neighborly love. It truly expresses the idea that you see a part to see the whole, and you see the whole to see a part. It doesn't it? You see, everything is a reflection of other. So first, you must be able to love yourself, and then you will be able to love your family. Only then you can love your neighbors, and from there, your homeland and the humankind. So, when you become aware, this awareness spreads out. When you become enlightened, this enlightenment spreads around. When you fall in love with yourself by practicing in being in self-love, then you can love the other person. So love for humanity resembles that crystalline structure. When you say earth, this is how it looked like. We are beginning to hear the grounding from our tortured planet. We are at the point when we must realize that if we want to continue to call this planet our home, we need to change, not the planet, but ourselves. By the way we treat this Mother Earth, always have um, always connect well, and let us all treat well. Let us all have this intention that the humanity rises in understanding that we need to treat our Mother Earth in the most sacred way. So just thinking has an impact. So keep thinking positive. So when happiness is written on the bottle, this is how the crystalline structure looks like. Love and gratitude, when it is written, this is how it look like. The bottom slides, that of these slides which you see. So when you have become the embodiment of gratitude, think about how pure the water that fills your body will be. When this happens, you yourself will be a beautiful shining crystal of light. I would like to show these quick images just to let you understand that water need to be treated in the most conscious way, not in an unconscious way. When we are drinking water, when we are touching water, when we are treating water, know that you are treating with a wonderful resource. With that resource, which is so very intelligent, which is so very intricate, which is the source of life. And know that every thought you think, every word you speak, everything you hear, and everything you see is changing and impacting your own crystalline structure of your whole being. So raise your awareness. I would like to share a little bit about some practical experiments I did on water. So we read till now, and we had learned till now about water. So friends, whenever I started to experience and read about water, I realized there is a lot into it. And not just water, everything else has memory. Everything else has memory. Everything is consciousness. So this particular experiment is called Rice Consciousness Experiment. So this experiment, I invite you all to do this at your places, because that reinforces the understanding of the consciousness and memory. So in this experiment, you need to just take the same rice, the boiled rice, two similar vessels, yeah, and on then place that, close them off, seal them off, and then on one you write a positive, and on another one you write a negative word. Then every day you either take them and you just say to that box which you have written positive word, only positive things. For example, you take this which is written I love you, and you say you're so nice, your life, you're so beautiful, thanks a lot, I'm very grateful, you are the source of life. You just say for 1 minute and keep it aside. The one you write negative, you take it and you say some negative words to it, and then keep it aside, one beside the other, not in different environments. So what you will observe is very life-changing observation. You will notice, like what you are seeing in this image, after 27 days, the one which was subjected to a negative vibration, negative words, it starts to rot, it starts to spoil. However, the same rice in the same room, which means the same ambient conditions, in a similar vessel where you started to speak only positive things, still remains good. So the experiment went for 35 days, and this becomes completely black, and still here the rice is still white without any fungus within it. So it means that what is being said is heard by rice. And for that matter, it is not just rice. Everything has consciousness, everything has memory. So please, please, please be aware and be conscious with everything that you treat. Don't think it is just a computer. Don't think it is just a pen. It is just a plate. It is just a utensil. It is just a door. It is just a tap. No, everything has memory, everything has consciousness. So treat them with full awareness. The way you are treating everything in your life is the way you experience your life. You create your own reality with how you behave. So uh, this is one thing that I would like to share. And when I read and when I experimented this, because I did this experiment with my colleagues in my office, because I always share what I learned with my colleagues. They were not believing. So that is when we, together with the colleagues, we did this experiment, and that had brought a mountain of difference in the way they started to perceive things, in the way they started to think about these interesting topics. So I also invite you to do these such experiments at your place and share your findings. So it's a wonderful experiment. So when I connected to these things and I started to understand these intricate memories and consciousness of things, I realized that that is how even various, energy activities happened in the past. I never understood that, black magic, for example, how can they connect, and they do it by taking certain small hair of certain person, because that carries memory, that carries consciousness. I started to understand and realize that everything is connected, everything has conscious, everything is memory. So do kindly be very careful with how you treat your things. Yeah. So never again, this does not mean that you need to be fearful of it. When you be very positive, that is what you create. When you are in harmony, that is what you create. So always think, speak, and do things that you really want in your life. So having said that, I want to bring also another topic, which is called consciousness. I want to share to you that we as humans know everything. How do we know everything? Like that water vapor, like that water specimen, when it was said Mother Teresa, the water does not know Mother Teresa. However, it is able to reflect the memory, crystalline structure related to Mother Teresa. So, which means there is some intricate thing that everything knows everything. So similarly, we as human beings are open enough, are ready enough, are, let's say, we are just not realized, but deep within us, we know everything. So kinesiology is a methodology. Dr. David Hawkins, he did a wonderful research on that. And in this research, what they do is they take people and random people, and there are two closed boxes. Nobody knows what is inside them. And in one box, there is, just to give you an example how it works. So in one box, there is a natural sugar, and in another box, artificial sugar. And whenever they take this closed box of artificial sugar in front of anyone, the muscle power, because they connect the electrodes to the body, the muscle power of that person goes a bit weaker, which is very much readable. And whenever they bring this closed bottle of natural sugar, everyone, they tested positive in the muscle power. So which means deep inside us, there is a knowing. Although if we do not know what is in this closed bottle, it is able to reflect upon that. It is able to react upon that. So it's a very wonderful book. I welcome you to read the research about that was done on kinesiology by Dr. David Hawkins. You can find it in the book called Power versus Force. And from these, it is very evident that we all just need to realize everything is just there. Yeah, that is why we say you never achieve something, you just realize something, because the universe is there within us. So in his, let's say, experiments with kinesiology, he had evaluated various emotions. So what is the life view on various emotions? What is the process that people undergo? And he divided these emotions into two. One is called force and another one power. And with this usage of kinesiology, they have graded each and every emotion with a particular scale. Here you see the scale. So what if someone is with an emotion of shame, and humiliation. The energy level, which is related to force, is 20. And as you go on, you go up into the power field. So this one is the power area and this one is the force area. So the moment you go from pride, even pride is not good. You see, it is in the force region. You cannot experience the highest thing when you are in this force region. We all need to move from the force region into the power region, into affirmation, courage, trust, optimism, forgiveness, understanding, reverence, serenity, which is equivalent to a level of life view which is complete. Yeah, the God's view is one, and the scale in terms of energy of power is 540. Then bliss, that is where the process of illumination happens, where we experience peace and we say all is well. It's a wonderful statement, right? All is well. So the movie Three Idiots, it's a wonderful statement. I love it indeed. Anyone, when someone asks me how are you, I always say all is well. That had become my mantra. So affirmations are very important and they do work, because every time you affirm, just like how each word, the memory, the crystalline structure of water is changing. So every time we affirm something, every the cellular structure of our crystalline structure of our water is changing. You see the top one, enlightenment, that the scale is between 700 to 1000. Pure consciousness, the state of being is self, and ease means it's a state of being. So be conscious, be conscious and know that there is no any barrier than yourself in order to realize and experience higher things. So we all need to move from force to power. I just wanted to show this, that every emotion that we experience, it is also reflecting on this research, that when we are having lower energies or lower emotions, lower or negative things, just like the crystalline structure of water, it is also connected. We need to interconnect the researches. So interconnecting to this research, where the consciousness is mapped, you see the energy level is less. That is why the crystalline structure of water was also not so harmonious. As we move up and we move into gratefulness, into being state, the let's say we move into strong power level with a higher scale in this research, which also reflects in the memory and the crystalline structure of water. So this is what all I wanted to share about water. Having hearing these things, now let us move into how, knowing all this, can I program water? How can we program water? Is it possible? If so, how? Yeah, because knowing is something, and let us all now go into doing and being. So how to program our water? How can we bring life to water? So a stagnant water loses its life. So that is why, in the past, we used to get water from rivers, because a flowing water is always gains life, always has life. So whenever we keep water in bottle, remember, the life energy of that water depletes. Water need to be always moving. So the best way to bring water to life is, if you see cyclones, or if you take water and you have a hole in the bottom, always there is a cyclone, right? So that is the life essence of anything, having a vortex. So if you want to bring life to water, the very simple way is you just move it in a vortex way. The moment you move it, life comes to water. So always utilize these things. There are wonderful devices where you can have a vortex effect on this water. Indeed, one of our friends earlier was sharing about the structured water. Even in this structured water, the technology that is used is they build up the vortex system when this water passes through these channels, so that they bring life to water, they bring structure to water, and then that is passed through various crystals, that is passed through various elements with which can charge the water. So bring life to water. That is how you can program. then use crystals in your water bottles. And most importantly, avoid plastic bottles. Plastic bottles are not at all harmonious to the memory of water. So always use glass bottles, yeah, and use crystals. You see, in my water bottle, I do not know if it is visible for you. So here, I put some crystals in my water bottle. Yeah. So you can put some crystals in your water bottle. Crystals are wonderful beings. They're very powerful. They can charge your water. So you can drop water. Even now there are water bottles where at the bottom compartment you have a non-contact. So basically they are divided into compartments. At the bottom you can put the crystals you like, and on the top you can fill water. So that is also charging your water. Write positive words on your bottles. We have seen how water crystalline structure is changing when they are, let's say, when there are some nice words written on it. So write those positive words on your bottle so that this water is taking this, the positive intent. For example, you see, I have written some nice positive words on water because once I knew about it, I know how I have to treat water, how I can utilize it. I do not know if it is clearly visible to you, friends. Just write on your bottle some positive words and you're programming your water. You're changing the crystalline structure of water. You do not know. We without intervening, lot of things can change. You just write health on this bottle and you are bringing lot of changes. You write peace, you write abundance, you write clarity, you write joy, you write healing, you write bliss, you write love, you write gratitude. Things happen. So just write on your water bottle and things will happen for you. That is another way to program your water. Place pyramids over your bottles. Pyramids are the wonderful, let's say, tools to the humanity. So you can place small pyramids on, or place the bottle where you have the pyramids, and your water is being charged and programmed. And this point is very important. Drink consciously. Never and ever drink without being conscious. Never and ever drink like, you take the bottle and then you finish off your 1 liter bottle. Never and ever do that. It is not the quantity of water that you drink is important. It is about the quality, and your consciousness when you drink that water is important. Indeed, I would like to share one thing here. It is all about consciousness when you take things within your body. Always be conscious. Indeed, it is said, eat the water and drink your food. Eat water and drink your food. Why it is said eat the water? Eat the water means when you take water into your mouth, hold it for a few moments. Have that consciousness that you're feeding this water, which is a memory, into your being to let's say regenerate yourself. Have that intent while you're drinking. You want to recharge yourself. Just feel it. You want to have positivity within your being. You want health. So in that particular moment, you just think about it and then you sip it. The same with the food. Food, when you eat, do not swallow it. That is why it is said, drink your food. So it is said you need to chew at least 40 times before you take it into your body. So the solid must become liquid. So there is this wonderful statement. I always follow it. Eat the water and drink your food. And if you do this just for 2 days, try it just for 2 days, you will see a drastic change in the energy of your being. You will see a great improvement in your awareness and consciousness. So drink consciously, friends. Never and ever drink that without you being aware and conscious when you take the water. Imagine when you're drinking, you're thinking about your work, some stresses or something, and you are really not doing good thing for yourself. So be conscious when you're drinking. Be aware of your thoughts as you're programming everything around, including water inside yourself. How do you program? By the way you think. So always be aware. So these are the bottles that I was saying. You will find these nice bottles. You can purchase them. You can write some nice messages on those, on the top of those bottles. Fill the bottle water into these. Use the vortex method. Recharge it. Write these positive methods, letters, and drink consciously. Everything in your life will change. Now we said how to program it, and let's see what not to do. So as we said that everything we hear, everything we speak is influencing us, we should avoid watching movies and videos or news that does not align for what you want in life. If you want crime in your life, you can go see that. But because we don't want that, we want health, happiness, let us all watch, hear, see, think, talk about just those things. So please avoid that. Please help your kids. Please help your friends. Please help your family. Please help your colleagues. Speak about these things. Let them become aware, because if they become aware, that is what the memory and the energy that they will transmit, that will help you. So help yourself first and help others to help yourself. So share this information. Become conscious of your music choice. Never hear things um, that are not so nice. Don't drink water unconsciously. That is what we spoke about earlier. It is not the quantity, but the quality of your awareness when you drink is important. No to processed foods. Know the source of your food and how it is prepared. Intention matters. So imagine someone cooking in the kitchen with an not with a good mood. What is happening to that food? Like the rice consciousness experiment, they're programming that food and we are eating that. So when you are going to a restaurant and you are eating outside, what is the intention of that one who is cooking inside the kitchen? Is he cooking with an intention that I need to earn more? Is there a greed in that? So when you consume that food, that is what you're charging yourself. That is how you're programming yourself. So no to processed foods and know the source of your food. That is why always Patri sir used to say, only meditators in the home need to cook. Senior masters, if there are two meditators in home, the senior meditator need to cook, because the right awareness, the right intentions, and the right memories transferred to that food. So please note this point, friends. Reduce electromagnetic radiations whenever and wherever possible, as much as possible. Switch off your phones in the night if possible. Switch off your Wi-Fi's if possible, because that's not nice. We are not programming rightly our being. Try to avoid it. Of course, use pyramids and crystals. That will reduce the effect. However possible, please reduce them. And now let's see what to do. So program your water. Use positive words and thoughts. It's very simple, very, very simple. Just write some positive words on the bottles and things change. These are not complicated, but they bring a Everest of change in your life. Cook consciously with enriching thoughts and vibes. Always think positive. Walk barefoot and on grass and sand, because communication happens in many ways, and grounding to earth is always healing, and we get wonderful vibrations through that. Get in contact with water bodies. If you have rivers near you, please go and dip yourself there, put your foot there, because water that contains that contains nice information. You are also healing and purifying yourself when you get in contact with those bodies. I would like to share also one interesting topic about plantation. So do plant your own food instead of purchasing. A small garden is good enough. A small balcony where you can put 2-3 pots is enough to plant some nice vegetables for yourself. Please move into this process of not just cooking your food, also growing your food. It does not take a lot of time. It does not take a lot of space, but please do that. We have also started here in our balcony to grow little food, and we need all to do this. In India, we have tremendous opportunities to do that. Friends, please move into that, because that will enrich your life. And then there is a wonderful way of planting these seeds. I would like to share these also. I read recently the books of Anastasia, this wonderful lady who is living in Siberian forests. She was born, brought up, and lived there in forest alone altogether in that nature. So if you want to know more about her, do read her books, Anastasia. And in that book, she speaks about how we can make the plants produce something that really heals us. Hearing all these topics which we heard till now, we know that water carries memory. So what she says is, whenever you want to plant something, take the seed you want to plant, of course, a bio seed, not a chemically treated seed, put it in your mouth, leave it for 3 minutes in your mouth. So what is happening when you leave there? So you're basically passing on your DNA to that seed. So the seed is reading your energy. Seeds, they capture your energy field, and they know what they need to produce in terms of the energy. Because if you are doing this, imagine with a tomato seed, tomato will be always tomato. The taste will be always the tomato taste. However, the energy content, the memory content that this particular seed, when you have it and pass your memory to it, then she says, take out that seed, blow it. So you know, to reduce this water vapor, and then seed, and then plant it. So when this seed becomes a plant and gives tomatoes, it gives that energy to that particular tomato that is needed to your body. It's a wonderful thing for healing. You can also try it out. You can read more about it in her books, Anastasia. Share about power of thoughts to your near and dear. What to do? You have to do that, because the more you share about the right things, that is what you multiply around. The more we multiply around, the more we live in that vibration. The more we live in that vibration, that is what we create within our realities. So let's all help each other. Why am I sharing this to you? Why can't I just keep it with me? Because if I share this to you, there will be these X number of people who are hearing will also start to implement. When they implement, that is what is the vibration that we enrich this air. Because as we said, the air has water, and that water which has the memory is transmitted, is collecting the memory of your thoughts. So I want to share these nice things to you, because by sharing, I am multiplying within myself, and I'm multiplying this even multiple folds because you're hearing it. So I invite you all, friends, please share this information, what you heard today, to everyone. And the most important thing, friends, meditate, 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 and meditate, because that brings up your awareness. When we become aware, we know that we are creating our own reality by everything we are thinking and every word we are speaking, and by everything that we are speaking, and by everything that we are seeing. So please meditate, please meditate, please meditate. So friends, thank you. Thank you for joining. So my deep gratitude to all of you for joining. And I would like to thank the Valley team for giving me this opportunity in order to get you all to know and connect to water. So thank you.